Vancouver, a city renowned for its stunning landscapes and thriving economy, is facing an unprecedented crisis that is slowly but surely unraveling the fabric of its real estate market. The issue is not one of affordability, nor is it simply about the usual housing market fluctuations that come with the seasons. No, this time, the problem is far more insidious and potentially far-reaching. It's the widespread failure of heat pumps in Vancouver's condo buildings. This catastrophic breakdown in what many would consider a basic utility, critical to maintaining a livable temperature in these densely packed urban spaces, has left thousands of residents in a state of both physical and financial distress. The failure of these systems has plunged condo owners into the worst situation imaginable. They're facing freezing temperatures in their homes, skyrocketing repair costs, and, worst of all, an uncertain future for their property investments. Over the past several months, reports have begun to surface of widespread failures in the heat pump systems of condos scattered across Vancouver. These systems, which have become indispensable to maintaining both heating and cooling in the city's vertical urban landscape, are breaking down at an alarming rate. As the temperatures drop, condo owners are being left without the essential heating they rely on to make it through the harsh Canadian winters. While the issue began as a minor inconvenience for a few unlucky owners, it soon escalated to the point where entire buildings have been affected, and the problem is spreading. The failure is not isolated to a particular area or a few unlucky buildings. This is happening across the city, from the most luxurious downtown high-rises to mid-market developments in suburbs like Burnaby and Richmond. What does this mean for Vancouver's real estate market, already struggling under the weight of rising interest rates and the fallout from the pandemic-induced economic slowdown? For many, the answer is simple. It means financial ruin. Condo owners who have already invested substantial sums into their properties are now faced with repair bills that could easily reach tens of thousands of dollars, costs they hadn't planned for when they made their purchase. Worse still, the issue is not being resolved quickly or efficiently. Contractors are overwhelmed, with supply chain disruptions further complicating the timeline for repairs. Parts are back-ordered, and some buildings are being left without functioning heat pumps for weeks on end, leaving residents to endure the freezing cold. The real estate market is already feeling the tremors of this disaster. Properties that once commanded premium prices are now languishing on the market, with potential buyers wary of the risks associated with purchasing condos with such an unstable and expensive-to-repair issue. In a city where the average condo price has already surpassed $750,000, the heat pump failure could be the last straw for many investors. Vancouver's condo market, long seen as a stable investment, is beginning to show signs of severe distress. With fewer buyers willing to risk purchasing properties with known maintenance issues, the price per square foot for condos in affected buildings is plummeting. Sellers are being forced to cut prices just to unload their properties, creating a vicious cycle that will be difficult to break. But the issue doesn't stop there. Vancouver's condo developers, who once thrived in a booming market, are now scrambling to repair the damage, both to their reputation and to their bottom line. Developers, many of whom have used heat pump systems as selling points in their marketing materials, are finding themselves at the center of a storm of complaints, lawsuits, and negative media attention. The question that many are now asking is, how could this happen? And why were these systems, critical to the comfort and safety of residents, allowed to fail on such a large scale? Part of the answer lies in the lack of stringent regulations surrounding the installation and maintenance of these systems. While heat pumps have been hailed as an environmentally friendly, energy-efficient solution for urban condos, there is little oversight in terms of ensuring their proper installation, upkeep, and lifespan. Many developers cut corners during the construction process to save on costs, and heat pump systems were sometimes installed without sufficient regard for the long-term needs of the buildings. Now, that oversight is coming back to haunt both condo owners and developers alike. Worse still, local government officials, who should be stepping in to help residents navigate this crisis, have been slow to respond. Vancouver's municipal leadership, including the mayor and city council, have been under fire for their lack of action in addressing the heat pump issue. While public outrage grows, politicians are scrambling to come up with solutions that appease both homeowners and developers without disrupting the broader real estate market. So far, their efforts have been largely ineffective, with some residents even accusing local government officials of downplaying the severity of the situation in order to avoid scaring off potential buyers and investors. This inaction is only adding fuel to the fire, as condo owners continue to deal with the aftermath of the heat pump failures without the support they desperately need. It's important to note that while Vancouver's heat pump problem is extreme, it is not entirely unique. Similar issues have been reported in other Canadian cities, although on a smaller scale. However, the sheer magnitude of the crisis in Vancouver, combined with the city's already volatile real estate market, has turned what could have been a localized issue into a major economic and social challenge. If the problem is not resolved quickly and efficiently, it could set off a chain reaction that affects the broader housing market in Vancouver and beyond. The financial fallout from this crisis could be staggering, potentially leading to widespread foreclosures, a sharp decline in property values, and a total collapse in consumer confidence in Vancouver's condo market. But there's more at stake here than just the financial implications. The human cost of this crisis is impossible to ignore. Many of the affected condo owners are struggling to make ends meet as they face the crushing burden of repair costs, which can run into the tens of thousands of dollars. For some, these unexpected expenses are simply too much to bear. Older residents and those with young children are particularly vulnerable as they have few options when it comes to finding temporary accommodations or coping with the physical discomfort of living in freezing temperatures. The emotional toll is also severe as families watch their investments crumble while they remain trapped in homes that no longer provide the comfort and security they once promised. The lack of adequate heating has also put a significant strain on people's health. Without functioning heat pumps, residents have been forced to rely on space heaters, which are both inefficient and unsafe. Prolonged exposure to the cold can lead to serious health issues, especially for vulnerable groups. As Vancouver enters the heart of winter, the risks associated with living in these freezing conditions will only continue to grow, adding yet another layer of complexity to an already dire situation. As this crisis continues to unfold, the broader implications for Vancouver's housing market become increasingly apparent. Vancouver is a city known for its sky-high property prices and strong foreign investment, but this heat pump disaster is calling into question the long-term stability of the real estate market. If the city's condo buildings, which were once seen as solid investments, are now plagued by such critical failures, what does that say about the overall health of the housing market? Are we witnessing the beginning of a larger collapse? If this crisis continues to spread, it could have a domino effect that extends far beyond Vancouver's condo market, destabilizing the entire housing sector in British Columbia and even in Canada as a whole. If Vancouver's heat pump crisis isn't resolved quickly, it could lead to mass foreclosures, widespread financial hardship, and a total collapse in consumer confidence in the city's real estate market. For many condo owners, their homes could soon become an albatross around their necks, a source of never-ending debt and stress. With so many homes already in disrepair, the risk of further damage is high, and the market may not recover for years to come. The future of Vancouver's housing market and the financial well-being of thousands of condo owners is hanging by a thread. As the crisis deepens, Vancouver's real estate market will likely face an unprecedented challenge. The heat pump issue is only the beginning of a much larger problem. Condo owners and developers alike are left wondering if the city's real estate boom is finally coming to an end. The question remains, can the situation be salvaged before it's too late, or is this the beginning of the end for Vancouver's once thriving condo market? As the heat pump crisis continues to grip Vancouver, the financial repercussions for condo owners are beginning to stack up in a way that's impossible to ignore. For many, the sudden collapse of these critical systems is more than just an inconvenience. It's an existential threat to their homes, investments, and financial futures. The toll is not only monetary, but deeply personal. Condo owners are left grappling with the unknown, unsure when, or if, their homes will ever return to normal. And as time drags on, the sense of urgency intensifies. One of the most alarming aspects of the heat pump failure is its widespread impact on the housing market. Vancouver's property values, already strained by rising interest rates, inflation, and the after effects of the pandemic, are now taking another massive hit. The promise of owning a modern, energy-efficient condo in Vancouver is being shattered as potential buyers begin to back out, unwilling to take on the risk of purchasing a property with a compromised heating system. For sellers, this is a nightmare. Properties that were once selling at a premium are now sitting on the market, languishing with little to no interest. Buyers are scared, and the demand for condos in Vancouver is slowly but surely shrinking. What does this mean for the future of Vancouver's housing market? It means that the very foundation of the condo market, the cornerstone of Vancouver's real estate success, is under threat. If Vancouver can't address this crisis, we could see a dramatic decline in property values across the city. Those who have invested their life savings in condo units are now facing the stark reality of rapidly depreciating assets. Many may find themselves unable to recover their initial investments, and for others, the possibility of foreclosure looms large. With so many properties suddenly uninhabitable or difficult to sell, the risk of widespread foreclosures is greater than ever before. This looming threat is compounded by the lack of sufficient governmental intervention. While residents continue to suffer, local politicians are slow to act, offering little more than vague promises of solutions that never seem to materialize. The lack of effective response is leaving condo owners and developers alike frustrated and disillusioned. As the cold weather drags on and repairs remain stalled, residents are left to wonder, will anyone step in to address this crisis before it spirals further out of control? The city's leaders seem paralyzed, unwilling or unable to enact the kind of sweeping reforms needed to resolve the situation. Meanwhile, the clock is ticking. The failure of Vancouver's heat pump systems is not just a wake-up call for the city, it's a cautionary tale for other cities across Canada. If Vancouver, one of Canada's wealthiest and most prosperous cities, can't handle a crisis of this magnitude, what does that say about the state of the rest of the housing market? As heat pump issues begin to appear in other regions, this could be just the beginning of a nationwide problem. It's not just Vancouver residents who need to be concerned about this issue. From Toronto to Calgary, condo owners are starting to wonder if their properties, too, could be vulnerable to similar failures. As this crisis unfolds, we are starting to see the cracks in Canada's real estate system. Developers are now facing massive pressure, as the heat pump issue puts their reputations and bottom lines at risk. The developers who use these systems as selling points now find themselves embroiled in legal disputes, as condo owners demand compensation for the failure to provide the promised services. In some cases, lawsuits are being filed against developers for negligence, with condo owners seeking compensation for the cost of repairs and the loss in property value. As these legal battles unfold, the situation only worsens, further damaging the trust that residents have in the developers responsible for these buildings. At the same time, contractors and repair companies are overwhelmed with work, struggling to meet the demands of condo owners desperately seeking solutions. With parts in short supply and skilled labor in even shorter supply, repairs are taking longer than anticipated. Many condo buildings are left with inadequate heating systems, and some residents have resorted to using portable space heaters to stay warm, which are far from an ideal solution. This leaves many feeling like they are stuck in a never-ending cycle of discomfort, uncertainty, and financial hardship. It's an emotional and physical toll that's not just hard to bear, but potentially dangerous. The human cost of this crisis cannot be overstated. As condo owners are left in freezing conditions, many of them are struggling to manage their daily lives. Elderly residents and young families are particularly vulnerable, with health issues related to exposure to cold temperatures becoming an increasing concern. Vulnerable individuals, including those with respiratory problems and chronic illnesses, are at an even higher risk. With no immediate solution on the horizon, many are growing increasingly desperate. The situation is creating a mounting sense of anxiety, with residents fearing that their homes will never return to the warmth and comfort they once promised. In addition to the emotional and physical toll, the financial strain on condo owners is overwhelming. The repair bills are climbing at an alarming rate, and many owners are finding themselves stuck between a rock and a hard place. On one hand, they are forced to pay for repairs that they never anticipated. On the other hand, they are watching their property values plummet, making it harder and harder to justify the money they've already invested in their homes. Many condo owners are being forced to take out loans or dip into their savings to cover the costs, further deepening their financial strain. For some, this may result in the loss of their homes entirely, as they are unable to pay off the mounting debts. The fear of bankruptcy and foreclosure is becoming a very real concern for thousands of Vancouver residents. As this crisis continues to unfold, the question remains, how long can Vancouver's condo market survive this strain? With heat pump issues becoming more widespread, the city's real estate market is being pushed to its limits. If this situation isn't resolved soon, it could have long-lasting consequences for Vancouver's property values, the broader real estate market, and the economy as a whole. The fallout from this crisis could ripple throughout Canada's real estate landscape, further damaging the public's confidence in the market. For condo owners in Vancouver, the situation is dire. They are facing an uphill battle, not just to repair their homes, but to protect their financial futures. It's a crisis that could take years to recover from, and many may never fully recover from the damage that has already been done. As this disaster continues to unfold, it's clear that Vancouver's condo market and its residents are in for a long, hard road ahead. As you watch this crisis unfold, remember that the only way to stay ahead of it is by staying informed. The situation is changing rapidly, and what happens next could have a profound impact on Vancouver's real estate market and the future of condo ownership in the city. Stay up to date with the latest developments by subscribing to this channel, and leave a comment with the number 1 if you want to see more updates on this crisis. If you're a condo owner in Vancouver, this is a situation you simply can't afford to ignore. Don't let the fear of missing out leave you in the cold. Stay tuned for more crucial updates that could save you thousands in the long run.